But you know what? I'll call the meeting to order. It is 6:35. Present, I'm Scott Diffenderfer. I'm going to have start off with, can we have our board members quickly introduce themselves? We can start in order. First, Scott Van Hove.
Hi, everyone. Scott Van Hove. We live in the Grand Venetian and have owned here for 18 years. Actually, 19 years, February 1st.
Gary Rugg, Belle Plaza, 10 years.
Gary Core, 11 Island Avenue, Costa Brava, 10 years.
Monica Tracy, 5 Island Avenue, for 34 years. And I think we need to tell people that they're being recorded. Yes, thank you.
Okay. Arlene De La Torre, 3 Island Avenue, since 2003, 17 years.
Oh,
David Leeds, 20 Island Avenue, 12 years.
Nikki Goldbeck, Plaza, 12 years, and this is Belle.
I'm Herb Frank, and I live at the Grand Venetian, and I've been here about 18 years, 19 years.
I'm Laura Dominguez here, and I also live at the Grand Venetian, and I've lived on Miami Beach on Belle Isle for 5 years.
And did we miss anybody?
I think me, Debbie Leibowitz.
Ah, there she is.
Hi, I live at 11 Island Avenue, Costa Brava for 4 years, and I've lived off the Venetian Causeway for 30 years. Nice to be here. Nice to see everyone.
And I'll conclude. I'm John Guffey, 3 Island Avenue, lived here 17 years.
So thank you very much. You may recognize or not recognize our 2 new people, Laura Dominguez. Everybody knows her though. She's joined our board. We're delighted to have her. And Nikki Goldbeck as well is new to our board. And so I'd like to introduce her. Our first order of business tonight, we're going to quickly go over our treasurer's report. Gary Core.
So as of today, okay, as of today, we have $11,847 in the bank collected from last few years' dues. That's it.
Okay. So we do not spend a ton of money here. We are raising money. We raise money from our condo associations every year. And we have some generous donors who also give us some money. We use money for our annual party for our website, which we're going to improve greatly this year, for our constant contact to maintain our mailing list, and some other. We don't spend a lot of money, so we actually have some money if and when that time comes when we have to hire an attorney or threaten to hire an attorney. And that's really what we use the money for. So it's always for the betterment of the neighborhood. So that's it. Herb is going to introduce our board members for 2021.
Okay.
Well, we actually just introduced them, but he's going to talk about the terms of our board members who are re-elected and new this year.
Hello, everybody. Our slate for 2021 consists of 3 categories, basically. Board members who are already elected for a 2-year period, and they'll be finishing their 2nd year. And that is Arlene De La Torre, Gary Rugg, and John Guffey, the 3 of them. So they don't get reelected, they just have another year. The 7 board members who are existing board members who will be reelected for a 2-year term are Monica Tracy, Scott Diffenderfer, Herb Frank, Gary Core, David Leeds, Debbie Leibowitz, and Scott Van Hove. You stand up. And this year, as Scott said, we have 2 new board members. Welcome. And that's Nikki Goldbeck and Laura Dominguez. Hello. Welcome. The other thing I would like to tell you is that the officers will be elected at our next board meeting by the board members. I guess that's it. If you have any questions, you can ask them later. Thank you.
Okay.
I guess we should call for a nomination, but it's pretty hard doing it this way.
So since we have 15 seats, right, Herb?
15 with 3 empty seats at this point, but we should, you know, when we're alive and all together, the members vote, the residents vote, but there's no way of doing that right now. So thank you all for voting for us.
Well, and since we have more seats than we have people to fill them, we would automatically get in. So that being said, we do have 3 empty seats and we'd love to have some more participation. Right now, we're a little light on 16 Island Avenue, and we could use somebody from the Vistas as well. Those are the 2 buildings that I do not believe are represented right now. We'd love to have them. So if you know anybody in those buildings who might be interested, we'd love to have you on our board. We are a friendly board. We get along with each other. We try to just solve issues for the neighborhood, always working to make it a better place, improve the quality of life. So we could really use your input, and we can certainly use some worker bees. So thank you guys very much for running. We do not have our city manager yet, do we?
Okay, I'll pretend I'm the city manager.
So we're expecting him any minute, I'm sure. So Scott, keep a lookout for that. In the meantime, what we'll do is we will go and we will start talking about some of our goals for this year that we've talked about. Does anybody want to start, or should I just read off some of the goals that we've discussed that are important to us? Listen, we get our direction from our residents. So we like to be spaced out in all the buildings. We like to have board representation from every building, people that talk to their neighbors. And that's how our ideas and our mission kind of comes forward. We look at issues that people are having and what they're complaining about, and that's what we try to address. As you know, one of our biggest accomplishments and priorities is maintaining a clean and pristine park. We have an amazing relationship with the Parks Department. I'm texting and emailing all the time with Jose Del Risco, who's the assistant director. He takes it very, very seriously to make us happy here. You know, there's been some issues this year with COVID. Obviously, the parks were closed for a while. The budgets were cut tremendously. We had some deterioration just from lack of maintenance. They furloughed all the contractors for a while, I think in the midst of spring and summer. Most of that's, you know, obviously everything is open now. So the dog parks are open, the children's park is open. As you probably noticed, the playground this year finally got the permanent shade structures, and it got the ground covering, the soft ground covering. We got the mulch replaced. So that was a big deal. I'm sure if you go to the park, you'll see how highly used both the children's park, the dogs park, and the circle is. We have a lot of people out there in the circle. Today they just replaced a lot. There was a lot of mud in the dog parks because the lack of rain and this time of year. So they just put some more material in there to get rid of the mud. They're going to resod in the spring. That's what they're waiting for. The weather. They need rain and a little warmer temperatures for the sod to be able to take the dog park. So the park's our big goal. We also this year, thanks to Debbie Leibowitz, was very instrumental, and and we lobbied the city to get additional lighting in the park. That is budgeted, and we are expecting to have additional lighting in the park for the evenings because it's a little dark. So that's a big goal for us this year. We are working with FPL. We're hoping to get the power lines are supposed to be buried in front of the new project at 31 Venetian Way. That project, back in the day when they were lobbying for this project, it was because of the Belle Isle Residents Association that we got them to actually bury those power lines as part of their agreement to be able to build what they wanted to build. So they agreed to bury those power lines. I think it's costing like $400,000. So they're going to bury the power lines in front of 31 Venetian Way. It's been paid for. Scott Van Hove has been working really hard with trying to get the city and FPL to give us an update. Scott, do you actually have any the latest update on that?
We don't. FPL has not responded to our latest inquiry. There's some logistical challenges because there's drilling underneath the water, because we're actually they'll be removing the above water lines as well, and that involves all sorts of environmental impact issues. The lines in front of 31 Venetian are supposed to be buried, and Scott hasn't mentioned this yet, but as part of an upgrade at the standard, in order for them to get city approval, they had to agree to underground all the wires in front of their property as well. So we actually have funding to underground utilities from the east end of our island up until the Vista. And there are 5 remaining utility poles that we do not have funding for. So we're trying to figure out whether we can somehow find some funding or whether we may have to tax ourselves to remove those last 5. This is, however, going to be quite a battle because we're dealing with FPL, and that is proving to be very challenging.
Yeah, it is. And it's frustrating. Scott's one of those people that's on it. And it's just, no matter how persistent he's been, we just have not, had response on that. We are hoping very soon. And there's going to be some major landscaping going on over there as well. Just so you know, this is a little off the topic, but 31 Venetian Way is expected to now come online, I think, in May. That's their latest. They do not have prices yet, and they don't have final anything, but I'm going to know more about that the next time we see you. So that's going to be the rental project across the street is now anticipating to open in May. Some other things we've done, iguana management. We had a big problem with iguanas, and the parks helped us with that. I don't know what they do, but we have less iguanas than we did a while back. So one of the biggest issues that many of you have complained about is noise. The leaf blowers are making everybody crazy. The jet skis, the cars. I have some really good news on leaf blowers. 9 Island Avenue and 5 Island Avenue are the first 2 buildings to require their landscapers to use electric leaf blowers. 9 Island, we just actually got a contract today. We are going to be reaching out to all the presidents and boards of all the buildings this year, and to see if we can get a total ban on gas blowers for all our buildings on Belle Isle. Just so you know, the cost for 9 Island, and we have a big property with lots of plants and stuff like that, we are buying the equipment for about $4,000 to have leaf blowers, electric hedge clippers, they're industrial size, they're backpacks, and they have extra battery chargers, and it's costing us about $4,000. So I can't imagine any other building would be more than that. They make a significant difference with the noise of the constant buzzing of the leaf blowers. So look for that, and certainly reach out to your building manager and board and let them know that you're all for electric leaf blowers. And if we can get them banned completely on Belle Isle, I think that would be amazing. So that's one of our big things. We know the jet skis and boats and the music from the boats is a problem. And so we've had a lot of complaints about that. In that line, we're going to have a resident tonight who's going to talk a little bit about creating a no wake zone between the Venetian and south to the MacArthur. Right now, the city, the Wildlife Fish and Wildlife Commission just instituted a no wake zone surrounding Monument Island. So that's going to be a big deterrent to those party boats and jet skis buzzing around there. Unfortunately, it doesn't extend from the Venetian to the MacArthur, and that's probably where the majority of noise complaints are. It's interesting because there's a no wake zone in Sunset Harbor and north, but there's not south. And so we're going to have to get, we're hoping to ask the city manager to be involved in that. So noise was a big issue. We always have traffic as a big issue, and bicyclists. We are still trying to work to get the intersection in front of the Standard Hotel reconfigured. That's been a big problem for years. The traffic light synchronization, when the bridges go up and then they go down and they create a big backup of traffic. We're looking on that. We're looking to get our buildings to start talking a little more to each other again, getting the building managers and the presidents of the associations together to see how we can work together on some of these issues and help each other with some other things. We're always trying to expand our email list, upgrade our website. Laura Dominguez is hopefully going to help us with our website. We know it sucks. We really do. We just have not had the manpower to deal with it. So we hope to have better communication as always. So that's it. Anybody else want to add anything before everyone's tired of hearing from me?
Scott, can I say one thing about traffic?
Sure.
I've been in touch and had a very good conversation with William Rivera, the city transportation engineer. And I brought up the issue of the exit onto Venetian Way from the east end of our island Avenue, but across the street where the new construction is going on. And he informed me that we need to make a formal request to them. And I told him I'm sure that would be forthcoming after our next board meeting or two, when we get our proposal together, or ask for some suggestions on how they can alleviate the problem. And also people from the east end of Island Avenue exiting onto one car can block several cars going onto Venetian Way, and see if there's some way we can ameliorate that problem.
Great. Does any other board member want to talk about anything right now?
Yes, Scott, you hear me?
Yep.
Gary, just a sideline, I noticed the other day at Ferry Lane, the kabod is stripped down and ready to come down the building. Have you seen that? The doors are off, everything is out, and the building is ready to be demolished.
Wow. They still don't necessarily have I don't think their last design has gone in front of the DRB. It was deferred last time. But I didn't know they were moving forward with demolition. So
some other good information that I learned watching Michael Gongora run a interview with the city manager and the new legal department head, Raphael Paz. We learned that Raphael lives on Belle Isle.
Oh, wow.
So look around for him somewhere. We'll have to find out. At some point tonight, I'd like to bring up a motion to have Belle Isle Association and the community do what we did last year when Manny Diaz, the senator of Hialeah Gardens, put in a bill in Tallahassee to take over short-term rentals from local authorities like Miami Beach, and the whole state would have to have short-term rentals. In the 9-page bill that's in the Senate and in the House. They're both the same so far. The last paragraph of the 9 pages does protect condos and co-ops who have bylaws that say no short-term rentals. At the end of last year's election, the House changed their bill and dropped the protection of the condos and co-ops. It was the governor who, after we deluged him with letters and emails, and our rep, Michael Grieco, and our Senator Pizzo helped us a great deal, even though Senator Pizzo, part of his district is in North Miami, and they are for short-term rentals. He still helped us to tell us what to do and how to do it. And with the city manager here, who was then the head of the legal department, wrote a resolution, and the commission in Miami Beach also lobbied to have that bill stopped, and it was stopped last year. We'd like to have a motion that Belle Plaza Association does support the city. Vera should support the city and fight this again for this year. Any comments from my board members?
I second the motion.
I think yes, we should have some discussion now. I call for discussion. Thank you for bringing this up, Gary. It boggles the mind to me that that they would try to override a condominium association and force some condos to have short-term rentals. I can't imagine that would pass.
Let me add one other thing about that, Scott. Across the street with the 3 new buildings, when they come online in May now, if this bill is passed and the owner of those 3 buildings decides he can't rent those luxury apartments at a good rate, there will be many apartments that he can just put a resort tax sticker on and rent them out by the night. And the top floor of those buildings, there are 30 plus uses of the rooftop. And that could become a disaster for Belle Isle when those short-term rental people are up in those apartments and go on the roof. Who's going to be in control of controlling the noise? So it becomes something that Belle Isle has to think about. Ferry Lane, Century Lane, all the Venetian Island homes could become resort units. Anybody else want to say something about it?
I'd like to agree with you. It's Debbie Leibowitz. When I lived on Revo Alto, there were a number of houses that were like party houses that were rented out all the time. And it was a horrific disaster with the police being called all the time because of crowds and loud noise and et cetera. So I think you raise a very valid point. And I think that the condos should have the right, at least our condos should have the right to maintain their annual rental policies. And I think you're right, it's going to be difficult to police the new units. And the rooftop is looking very fancy. So I do see it as a problem. Thanks for bringing it up.
Well, I have
Is
a
there-
suggestion to Gary, and that is, could you draft something that you think Belle Isle Residents Association could adopt?
I certainly will.
And we can discuss it at our next board meeting.
I wanted the community to hear about it too, and I was going to ask the city manager if he was here tonight, what more things we could do.
So I have just gotten a text that the city manager is ill and he won't be making it tonight. Sorry about that. I just got that text right now. So
Scott, you
I'm
got
sorry
some good news about March. You can tell everyone.
about, yes, I do. But so first, let me do 2 things. I would like to welcome Commissioner Mickey Steinberg, Commissioner Mark Samuelin, and Adrian Chamberlain is on the phone. So is in the meeting. So thanks guys for joining us. I hope you find what we're doing interesting. And I was just gonna ask you for Raul's text, his cell phone, but I just heard from Marcia that he's ill. So I'm sorry. I hope you feel better, Raul, and we'll have you back again. I will tell you one of the things that we're excited to announce is we're going to have Daniela Levine Cava, the mayor of Miami-Dade County, at our next meeting, which will be March 9th. We'll be doing that around the same time, and we'll certainly send details out as they're available, but that'll be the Miami-Dade mayor, Daniela Levine Cava, who we voted for overwhelmingly in our neighborhood. So anyway, that's that.
Hey,
Thank
Scott,
you. Yes.
could I just step back for a second and talk a little bit about the goals again?
Yes, you can.
The goals will be loaded on the Bureau website. Scott discussed our top goals. We have some secondary goals and some policy goals I just want to highlight for the participants. Secondary goals are actually trying to reach out to this 31 Venetian, which I think is called, oh crap, Bella Vista or something like that.
Isla.
Say again?
Bella Isla.
Bella Isla. So we're going to try to create a relationship with them. We also discussed the Chabad House, and there is at some point going to be some geo bond money available to the island. So that we're keeping an eye on that. Beyond on the policy issues, beyond what Gary mentioned, which is short-term rentals, the mooring fields of interest to people on Belle Isle, the Flamingo Point development across the water, which is going through some initial proposals. The towing issue is something we're monitoring, and then we're also going to pay attention to other issues that might emerge. And we're going to work closely with our neighboring associations as well.
Thank you, Scott. Anybody? Yeah, you got all that. Anything else we're missing right now? And then we'll turn it over and start asking questions of our residents.
I think we're missing the food and drink and 100-person get together we had last year or the year before, but
I know,
maybe next year. Maybe next year.
Isn't that a bummer? Isn't that a bummer? So listen, we've heard from you guys. You know, we'd like to hear more from you. We'd like to hear from our residents. So as you saw in the instructions, if you'd like to raise your hand, we'll call on you. Unfortunately, some questions I had for the city manager are, he's not here, so he can't answer them. I'm trying to see what I can answer, but these were pretty much directed towards him. Here comes the cat. Do we have any questions from the residents right now, Laura? I see a hand going up.
Yes, we have a question from Bill Hussey, and I will unmute him now. Bill?
I wondered if I know that Nine Island has gone ahead and bought leaf blowers and gas powered leaf, shrub trimming equipment. I was going to suggest that we just approach our own gardeners and say, listen, if you want to continue working here, these are the things that you have to do after such and such a date, which would take the stress off buildings that are less affluent. Just a comment to put out there.
Bill, I think it's a great idea. You and I have talked about this. When we went to do that with we can get rid of our landscapers after 30 days is our contract. I know some people are into longer contracts, maybe a year or so. Even our relatively large landscape company was just uninterested in doing this. They act like it's this huge expense and they don't last long and blah, blah, blah. The truth is, and we're gonna be a good example of it, is they have extra charging things. They have heavy duty ones, industrial ones, and the expenses were not that great. So what we are ending up doing at Nine Island is we are actually purchasing the equipment ourselves. It'll be ours to own. We're gonna store it and we're gonna let them use it while they're here. And so, like I said, that was a $4,000 investment. It's going to be a $4,000 investment. It's not cheap, but for the peace of mind, we have all been working from home, and the the constant barrage of gas engines is just, especially with this beautiful weather with windows open, it's, you know, and no buildings do it the same day. So it's just a continuous thing. I think it is really one of the easiest quality of life issues to solve if we were all on the same page with it. So, you know, it's just, but thanks for putting that out there. I encourage any way you can do it to do it. And we really are going to, I'm gonna share with the other buildings what brand that our landscapers have said we should get. I'm going to share the cost, the model numbers, and our experience as we go forward. So we should have them very shortly. And I know Five Island even got them before we did. So Tracy, if you're there, thank you. Their president, we had talked about it, and she is on board too. So I really hope this will spread. And I think, you know, ultimately, Billy, you said you were from West Hollywood, where they banned them 20 years ago in the whole city. And we have not had the political will to do it in this town. But, you know, listen, all of these companies they're small mom and pop type companies, and they don't have or want to make the investment. But if we make it worth their while or make it mandatory to work here, I think that, you know, we could start seeing more of that. So thank you.
Our next question is from Commissioner Mark Samulin. Mark, you're unmuted.
Nope, no question here. Just saying hello.
Sorry, your hand was raised. That's why we called on you.
Come on, Mark, say something to us. Thank you for joining it. It means a lot to us.
Thank you. I'm delighted to join. It's great. It's great to see the board in action. Sorry, our city manager is not feeling well. Hopefully he'll have a speedy recovery. I know he was really looking forward to it. And I actually just raised the hand to see if your new digital board member was on her game, but she was 100% on it. So wish everyone all the best in the new year. Keep up the great work, and we're here to serve.
Great. Okay, we have another question.
Oh, those are the only two so far. Let me
Wow.
go down to make sure.
So I want to talk to you guys about the jet skis and the no wake zone. Being on Belle Isle and being now in 9 Island on the water, the last year, because of COVID, we have really noticed a massive increase in the amount of jet ski rentals, which are mostly illegal. They're not supposed to be renting them out of Sunset Harbor. They use these loopholes and rent them, and they do it offshore kind of. They set up a floating barge with jet skis tethered to them. They make people paddleboard out there. And anybody who's lived on the water has heard 10 or 12 or 15 jet skis, really loud, untuned. They're in disrepair, so they're louder than normal jet skis, go by, and they start sometimes as early as 7 in the morning. Because we do not have a no wake zone here. We have all these jet skis buzzing back and forth and back and forth. We have a lot of paddleboarders out. We have wildlife. We have manatees and dolphins. And it's one of those things where it has become a big quality of life issue. The city blames enforcement on the Fish and Wildlife Commission, the Coast Guard. Sometimes the city police are out there, but when we call them, they don't work after a certain time. Code enforcement does not have a boat, and they call the city police. And if the police boat is not available, there's nothing that's done. This goes for party boats at night. We sometimes hear music at 2 or 3 in the morning, just blaring. And a lot of party boats have been going on. This summer, when it all started, actually, I called Commissioner Samulin, and he got some fast service he got the police boats out there to break up some parties. The city, I think the mayor and eventually closed off Monument Island. That prevented a lot of it, but it has become a quality of life issue that that is really a problem. So we have some residents that are going to be putting together a group to petition the city to call for a no wake zone off of Belle Isle. So it would basically be from the Venetian all the way down to the MacArthur. And we know that the West Avenue residents would be on board too. They're experiencing the same issues that we are with the loud boats and it's dangerous boating too. I mean, that's the one thing is that, you know, we do have manatees and dolphins, and we have lots of paddleboarders and kayakers. And, you know, when a boat goes zooming through, we actually had a case in 9 Island where a boat went so fast and created such a big wake, it broke the cleats off a dock and dislodged a boat that was tied up. And if the owner had not seen it happen and been here, his boat could have been washed, just floated away. So, you know, it is becoming a problem, and we're just not having an enforcement.
You know, Scott, this is Arlene. You know, also in terms of that, there's also the issue, I don't know if you recall that when they had to do the repairs at I think it was on the MacArthur, they were blaming that a lot of the damage on the reinforcements, on the steel reinforcements, was from the wake from jet skis. So that's another thing that maybe we can tack on in terms of any kind of substantiation efforts for this wake zone petition.
Yeah, so we're going to have a call. I don't know if Jose Solar's hand is up. He was going to join this meeting.
We have two questions pending if you want me to go to the questions.
Okay.
Okay.
Let's go to those.
And for those that don't know, the raised hand feature should be at the bottom of your screen. If you hover over the section, you should see the raised hand. So the next question is from Lloyd, and I've just unmuted you, Lloyd, and I believe you need to now unmute yourself.
Okay, yes, I have done. Can you hear me?
Yes.
We can hear you.
Okay, great. Yeah, so I live in 5 Island Avenue. So I was pleased to hear about the potential reconfiguration of the streets in front of the standard, which, yes, they are definitely a problem. I think part of the problem also here on the island is that we almost have too many traffic lights. They seem to be almost unnecessary. And I was wondering if it could be considered to actually replace traffic lights with the concept of maybe, you know, like small traffic circles, roundabouts, to actually keep the flow of the traffic going. Because I think part of the problem is that, you know, as soon as the traffic lights go green, people start honking, they're impatient. I think often we're also waiting at red traffic lights for absolutely no reason. You know, there's very little traffic often coming out of the standard from that street. So I think the idea of small traffic circles to replace traffic lights could potentially reduce noise as well. I have no idea how we'd go around suggesting that to the relevant authorities, but just an idea.
Oh, Lloyd, you're from a civilized part of the world, I see, where they actually make people learn how to drive before they give them a driver's license. I was on the transportation committee for 8 years, and we begged and pleaded for traffic circles. They're done in Coral Gables. They're even done in the city of Miami. For some reason, well, let me tell you two things, Lloyd. The Venetian Causeway is a county road. It's not a city road, so the city does not have jurisdiction. The configurations and traffic lights on the road were done by the county without any resident input, by the way. We were horrified when they just one day showed up and did what they did. The county is the big gorilla and does what it wants with very little input with very little taking much from the city. We do have, like I said, the county mayor, Miami-Dade County Mayor will be here next month. She's much more progressive than who's been in place in the past. And I think it's definitely a thing that we need to bring up with her because we all kind of agree the way things are working is not great right now. But in general, Miami Beach shies away from traffic circles. As a city, they just don't, for some reason, they just will not try it. And we have plenty of places to do it, and they just can't seem to do it. So thanks for the suggestion, and we will bring it up to the Miami-Dade mayor next month, March 9th, and hope you can make that meeting as well.
And the next person to have a question is Commissioner Michael Gongora's aide, and that's Diana. And Diana, you can unmute yourself.
Yes, can you hear me? I'm actually talking as Diana Fontani, president of the Venetian Way Island Association. So I did want to, I'm super excited about what Scott was saying about the no wake zone. I would like our association to also participate in that group, if y'all would have us, so we can make a unified voice from all the groups from the Venetian Islands. I also wanted to let the group know that we recently got a dedicated Miami police officer dedicated to our two islands, Biscayne Island and San Marcos. So we're super excited about having him. So you will now see more presence on the City of Miami side on the Venetian. So that's all I have.
Diana, thank you so much. I'm so glad to see you here as a resident of the Venetian, and we would love to partner with you for sure. One of the things we have talked about too, and neither Scott or I mentioned it, is that we really do we see power in numbers, and we definitely want to reach out to other neighborhood associations and certainly other cities in the county, other jurisdictions, because we all have a lot of the same problems that are multi-jurisdiction related. And we have a loud voice here and a big voting voice. So thank you so much, Diana. And we'll definitely, we'll stay in touch so we can stay on the same page with this stuff.
Hey, Scott.
Mm-hmm.
We have two commissioners on the line, so I would like to raise a question that one of our registrants raised, which is the mooring field facilities and the discussion of the mooring field that would surround Belle Isle and make its way south toward 5th Street. And there was apparently at a recent finance committee meeting, and I think Commissioner Samuelen is a member, and I believe Commissioner Steinberg is an alternate member on that committee. I'm wondering if either of those individuals would like to share how they see this unfolding, and what we as members of our association can do to support the creation of this mooring field. So I'm not sure if either of them would be willing to chat.
I think Mickey might have dropped off. I do not see her name. If Mark is still on and you'd like to weigh in.
Sure, I'm happy to. And Scott, thanks for the question. We did discuss it at our finance committee. You know, we've long had issues with these boats that were sort of really unregulated in any way, and they cause a lot of different problems, and you know, frankly, can have a lot of adverse impacts on the neighborhoods and the bay. We have been spending some considerable time exploring this concept of a mooring field, and we at the finance committee again sort of moved the ball down the field. We have expanded the geographic potential. I want to say potential because we're in assessment mode. Potential geographic scope of the mooring field all the way down to 5th Street. So the scope would be wider, including points around Belle Isle. Importantly, we at the meeting addressed a very specific issue around what's called upland facilities, you know, restrooms and places that could be accessed by people that are using the mooring field. And the decision, the recommendation of the city administration and the decision of our finance committee was to pursue additional conversations with Suntech, who is the provider at the marina down in south of 5th. So we are actively talking with them about leveraging those facilities. The other point I personally made was to make sure that we continue to engage our community through our public hearings, listening to our neighborhood associations. So what I would say is this is something under active consideration. the current thinking is there a way we could use existing facilities of the marina south of Fifth? And I would encourage Beer to stay engaged. And if you have thoughts and views, to reach out to me anytime, or to use a resolution to communicate to the rest of the commission members. Scott, I hope that addressed your point. If there's any follow-up, let me know, but important topic that you raised.
Thank you.
Mark, while we have you, if I may, I want to first thank you. Mark's been he's been very great in communicating and taking our problems when we have them. So Mark, thanks for that. One of the things that we've been very annoyed with is the noise issues, and the city has no kind of decibel level for noise, and Debbie and I were decided we wanted to take this on, and Mark, you took it to the neighborhoods committee for us, and I think you sponsored it, and it's been going back and forth to neighborhoods and the commission. I was shocked and surprised with the backlash I got and read about from other city criers, if you will, people that are active and always trying to dictate and call policy. And I was shocked that these activists were against any kind of noise decibel limit, and they just said there's plenty on the books to enforce it now, and that it's just not being enforced, that there are plenty of ways we can enforce it. So Mark, do you want to speak to that and tell us like what needs to be done? I know that I wish Raul was here, because I know Raul was very interested in making it known that residents need to really voice their concerns when codes are not being enforced, and that's a complete. The enforcement of codes, as we know, is really a political direction of the city manager. We saw when the park was shut down, we had park rangers or cops or security out here every single day telling little old ladies they couldn't walk their dog in the park and to stay on the sidewalk. So we know where there's a will, there's a way, and it shocks us that some of these big quality of life issues are not addressed. So do you want to speak to that, Mark, and where we're going forward with this?
Absolutely. Happy to do so, Scott. And thank you for those kind words. And again, thank you to you and your board members for all your service. Let me touch just briefly on the problem of noise, build on what you said, what the commission is doing, and then the administrative enforcement piece. Noise is a real problem. It's a terrific and troubling impact on quality of life. It comes in lots of different ways. We can have noise of vehicles. We can have noise from commercial establishments. We can have equipment noise in some cases, and we can have noise on the waterways. So there's a lot of different elements that are in play. I do have an item at the neighborhoods committee, and I will touch on a couple specifics of that. First, you're right, Scott, the issue of decibel readers has been a little bit controversial. There have been some strong voices that thought that was a great idea. There have been some other voices that said, no, that's not the approach to go. And that obviously makes it a little harder when residents are not, sort of unified in some way. Also, the city administration has not been embracing that technology historically. Now, we are going to make progress because it's an important issue. And I've actually had a couple meetings this week with our police chief. And one of the things is the MBPD is looking at using decibel readers on the waterways to address water noise. What's happened is during the pandemic, we've got lots more folks at home, which has had its challenges to that, but the party has moved to the water, and we need to do an incredibly better job of that. And we're actually using a little technology, and we're looking at strengthening some of the rules and enforcement on our waterways. We've actually had some productive discussions with our county commissioner. So Chief Clements, myself, and Commissioner Hayman were on the call yesterday. I'm back on the call with some of these folks tomorrow, and we're going to sort of dial in on the waterway noise as a particular area that needs addressing. Final thought. You're right, Scott, that the enforcement here is really a function of our city administration. And I so hope that our city manager, Raul, feels better soon. He has done a fabulous job for us. And he and I had some recent communication where he told me his number one opportunity as he views his role is to sort of raise the bar on enforcement. And that's both from a code and MDPD standpoint. And he's been really taking action in that. And I told him I completely support that. I believe my colleagues do as well. We still got a ways to go, but we're working on it. So hopefully that gives you a little helpful color.
Mark, thanks again. You know, I did notice there was some major enforcement of jet skis. There was a bust of these illegal operators a couple weeks ago. So that was a huge start. And I'm really glad to hear that you're working with other jurisdictions as well, because it is going to take all of us together and all the residents from all jurisdictions to handle this. So thank you so much.
Yeah, Scott, if I could just add one thing, and I appreciate that. You know, one of the things that's been making a lot of noise and causing some impact on quality of life in a lot of areas are scooter rentals. You know, we had at one point the potential of having 200 to 300 scooters rented in Miami Beach. And, you know, we want people to have a good time in Miami Beach, but you have to play by the rules and you can't destroy the fabric of our residential community. So one thing that we've got in place now, with the support of my colleagues, Commissioner Minor actually sponsored one of the items, Commissioner Richardson did as well, is some very strict rules on scooter rentals. Specifically, no scooter in Miami Beach can operate after 7 p.m. No scooter rentals after 7, and the scooter rental companies need to be able to turn off these devices. We're also going to be limiting the number of new entrants into that business. So I just thought I'd touch on that. Scooters can be a real impact on quality of life, and they make a lot of noise, and we are absolutely on the case. And I would say that we're making some real progress there.
Scott, one more item for the commissioner, since he mentioned two-wheeled vehicles. There was a question from one of our registrants, Commissioner Samuel, about the green painted bike path and the concern that bikers are frequently going outside that green path. And the question was whether, and I understand it's a county road, but whether the city would support putting up white, sort of those little dividers that are, for example, at West Avenue, protecting residents and cars around Trader Joe's. If they had those kinds of dividers to keep the cyclists in the green lane.
Yeah, thanks for the question, Scott. You know, it's a transportation, such a tricky one because we all are sharing the road. We've got bikers, pedestrians, cars. So I absolutely know where the question's coming from. And interestingly, I think we have some progress forthcoming. You mentioned the point about sort of the dividers for compliance, and I absolutely hear that. In addition, there's safety issues. We had a tragic incident, as many of you are aware, on the Venetian Causeway where a cyclist was killed, and we need to make sure that everyone's as safe as possible. So the Miami Beach Commission did unanimously adopt a resolution, which I had put forward, to do exactly what you're talking about, to have some sort of buffering of sorts. We have been talking with the county about this. Short answer, I think you'll see something. I'm not sure if it'll be the white dividers, or maybe you've seen those street level dividers that are sometimes called armadillos. They're small little bumps. But I think what I am encouraged to share is we are making progress to have some dividers, protection, compliance on the Venetian Causeway. So stay tuned on that one.
Hey, Mark.
I've heard,
Delatorre. I also wanted to bring up in terms of like the cyclists. Okay, so we're protecting the cyclists, but sometimes the cyclists are their own worst enemy, to be honest. And I got an email, as probably many of us did, about some other bike boxes and things like that that were happening. And I wonder if there couldn't also be a concerted effort to educate cyclists as well, that they are like a moving vehicle, that they have to follow rules. I think a lot of that is somehow, I don't know if it's actually being done or if it's actually just not being incorporated by cyclists into their behavior.
Yeah. Thank you, Arlene, for that question. You're right. We all got to play by the rules, whatever mode of transportation that you are using. You know, we do periodically do educational campaigns for a variety of different modes. I'm going to take your feedback that you gave me tonight directly back to our transportation professionals, see if there's anything more that they think we could be doing, and give that as community feedback.
You know, I think you had the topic of enforcement, and I think that that's another thing, is that nobody is enforcing when the bicyclists don't obey by the rules and don't play by the rules for the rest of us.
Understood.
tell you,
Okay.
for many years of being on the transportation committee and with all of the forces involved, especially cyclists, and there are responsible cyclists and there are crazy cyclists just like drivers. But one of the things is the Venetian, the bike lanes are really narrow. And if you put dividers on that causeway, you're going to have, you know, slow people riding, and then you're going to have these serious cyclists that are going to then just go in the street because they're not going to ride behind the slow people. So that's the thing you can't pass when you have those dividers. So I don't know, and I know that I think the bike groups fought really hard against that and said it was actually more dangerous because it would put more serious bikers right in the middle of the street, and they're not going to be able to pull over when cars come. So they're just going to, you know, as you know, they ride right down the middle of the street sometimes. So, you know, it's really the Venetian, as we've learned with COVID, has become the kind of main street for walkers and bicyclists and stuff like that. And I don't know what the answer is, but I do know that, you know, we're going to have to kind of share the road. And the idea of, you know, it's funny. I always think it's funny when people think that they should tell other people to follow the rules, because we're not really a rules following kind of town in any way, shape, or form. So I think it really does come down to design. I think we need way wider bike lanes, narrower traffic lanes. We fought for many years to get the lanes reduced from 10 to 9 feet. And you know, this is always a county fight versus a city fight and all that stuff. So I think it's a much more complicated scenario than you guys think. I'm just saying.
Okay, can I make a comment?
Of course.
As someone who rides their bicycle every single day in Miami Beach, this is a big issue. And I think protection, cones or whatever is necessary. It helps cyclists feel secure and prevents people on motorcycles, people running, people all sorts of things from being in a bike lane. And I got to applaud the city for what they've done on Washington Avenue and throughout the city to encourage bicycle riding. Wonderful thing. Lived here 27 years, great. And the Venetian is a real problem for people and cyclists. And some action needs to be taken.
It's important.
And I entirely agree with Arlene that many cyclists ignore the rules, ride the wrong way, run through red lights, but you know, it's a two-sided issue. They need to do they need to act within the law and responsibly, but the city needs to protect them also.
Yeah, and John, thanks for that. I think it's really important that you make sure that you know, you speak up when the issue comes, because they need to hear from all sides, and they don't. They often hear from you know, some of the bicycle advocate groups only, and they don't get to hear from regular residents.
And, you know, I see the Venetian from my apartment, and sometimes these groups are ridiculous, you know. Well, they do not observe the law, and, you know, but they should, but just as the law should protect them, as I said.
Okay. I see a couple more hands up, Laura. Laura? Let's see if I can do this.
Let's see. I think they might be the same one as before, unless Bill and Commissioner Samuelin had other questions. In the Q&A, there's a couple of anonymous comments. One is regarding the blaring music that came from an SUV with cyclists a couple Sundays ago. The city hadn't notified us, and so they just wanted noted that something like that should be notified. Let's see, the other one is another anonymous comment, just making sure that drivers should be educated, and that bicyclists are just trying to pass a slower cyclist, and so definitely car drivers need to slow down. And somebody previously had was in agreement that jet ski spray is deteriorating the Venetian Bridge, and also confirmed that this time of the year, MB Marine Patrol only works till 6, and in the summer it's till 7.
Which is crazy.
It is so crazy.
I see a hand from Phyllis Cass. Can you see that?
Yep, I see that now. Phyllis, if you would unmute yourself.
Hi, this is John Corrigan, actually. Phyllis is with me, but I'm using her iPad. I'm a resident over on Belle Isle, and I just want to say on the issue of cyclists and the cones and all of that, I think what Scott described is very accurate. You know, I've done a lot of cycling over the years, and there's all kinds of different cyclists. Some are very responsible, and some go very fast, and some go slow. And the lanes on Venetian are very narrow. It's just an old causeway, and it's very narrow. And so the bicycle lane is not wide enough for cyclists to pass each other within the green zone. So it's, you know, everyone's just going to have to slow down, and they're going to have to get along somehow. But I just don't see any easy solution. That's my comment.
Thank you.
Anybody else? No. So listen, while we're finishing this up, I just want to say to any residents that are interested in helping us with the no wake zone, if you could send an email to belleisleresidents@gmail.com. That's belleisleresidents@gmail.com. Just let us know that you're interested in working on that committee. It's something that we're really going to work on this year. And as always, you can send any of your comments or questions to us there. We're gonna work on some more JOT forms on our website now. You can sign up for our email list, and you can sign up to be on our board. There's links on our website to a JOT form that uploads your information for us. So it's easier than it used to be, but not as easy as Laura's going to make it all when she gets a little more involved. Anyway, what else do we have here? I think that's about it for right now. If any board member wants to add anything else, I just want to thank you again for your attendance. This is the shortest annual meeting we've ever had. We certainly wish Raul speedy recovery, and we'll stay in touch and hopefully have him again soon. And like I said, next month on March 9th, we'll have Daniela Levine Cava, and we'll send more information out about that with a Zoom link, and we'll have the same type of question and answer session. Does any other board member want to say anything before closing?
Can I say one other thing about the noise with the jet skis and the party boats? I think we also need to stress when we're working and stressing that the safety issue. I'm sure there's a lot of alcohol problems and possibly drug use on not only the party boats, but the jet skis. And the safety I think could be a major component of our what we bring up to the whoever we need to bring it up to help us ameliorate that problem.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's definitely part of it. I mean, part of it all is when we petition for this no wake zone, it will have to come from the city, and there will have to be reasons behind it. And all of those reasons are like you said, David, and more. We have paddle boarders. We have a lot of people on small human powered craft that are just trying to enjoy the wilderness, and they're being knocked over by these crazy boaters. So yeah, there's lots of problems, but it is enforcement. I mean, we have the Coast Guard should be enforcing, the city should be enforcing, and Fish and Wildlife, they have enforcement powers as well. And unless the residents have to lobby the city, and then the city has to lobby these other agencies, and that's kind of how it has to work. But we do need as many residents with petitions to sign things as we can get.
And just one final comment that came in the Q&A. It's from Blake Young. I found it very informative. Thanks for letting me listen in.
Hi, Blake. Nice of you to join us. And Blake ran for commission, for those of you who hopefully everybody knew. And I think Blake is already, are you running again, Blake? Are you around?
Hang on, let me unmute. Okay, you can unmute yourself, Blake.
Can everybody hear me?
Yes.
Yes, you're correct, Scott. I am running. I filed in February, and obviously I like to attend the HOA meetings. I'm an HOA president of the Regatta Condominium Association on 6580 Indian Creek, and I love these meetings, love the community, and there's nothing better than getting feedback from the residents themselves. And thank you for letting me be here.
And Blake, you have party boats up there too that residents have complained about, don't you?
Consistently up and down Indian Creek, that we have, that they shouldn't have a wake in our area. It's a no wake zone, but we have very loud noise. They wait for the drawbridge consistently there. So, I mean, we get quite a bit of that on our end as well too. So I think it's an issue that we're all fighting. Noise is coming from lots of different sources, like you guys highlighted, and we definitely are affected with that there. I know that a lot of neighbors are concerned about how loud it gets.
Well, Blake, let's join forces. Let's stay in touch, because especially where you guys are, it's like shooting fish in a barrel. I mean, there's nowhere they can go. There's a bridge. I've always questioned why the bridge tenders are not involved in highlighting these loud boats that are continuous. Some of the same boats going through the bridges, daily or every single weekend with music blaring, and why the bridge tenders can't be enlisted to help us with some of this enforcement stuff. So let's stay in touch, Blake, and thanks for attending.
Thank you, Scott. We will do that, and we'll work together. Like I said, a lot of the issues you guys have been addressing are very important to me and to my board and to the people I speak with. So let's team up and try to make some things happen.
Great. Well, we'll reach out to you, Blake, okay?
Thank you, Scott.
All right.
Finally, just last comment from Faggy and David Richmond. They appreciate all of the work that you do, and it affects the quality of life. So thank you.
Great. Okay. So anyway, thanks all of you guys for attending. We had over 50 participants tonight. I hope you'll join us March 9th. And please, whenever you get an invite from us, feel free to forward it, and there's a link for more people to sign up. So we've really grown our mailing list, and we'd like to keep doing it. So thanks again. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Thank you, Arlene. Second?
Second.
Okay, Debbie, all in favor. We are adjourning. Thank you guys so much for attending, and we'll see you in March.
Thanks, everybody. Bye.
Thanks, Scott. Thank you all.
Bye.